Whiskey. It's about sundown again, and I'm out walking and talking to you. If you look right over my shoulder this way, that's where the bridge is at Whitestone. If you've been over that to go to Middlesex from Lancaster County. We need to talk a little bit about writing experimental procedures. After I've given you some feedback on your data table and your hypothesis, you need to tell me how you're going to investigate that hypothesis. And you have to be very specific about how you're going to get your data and where it's going to come from. For instance, if you're using temperature as a variable, you have to decide how you're going to get that temperature. If you don't have a thermometer where you are, and you might not, I mean, they're not everywhere, you need to tell me where you're going to get your temperature. And if you're going to get it off the Weather Channel or something like that, you got to be very careful. You got to be careful that every day when you check your app to get that information, you've got to be careful that that app is looking at the same locality. Sometimes as you drive around, if you come over here like where I am in Middlesex County or Gloucester County, that app's going to start to take temperatures from there. We turn a little bit so you can see the sunset, because I think that's kind of pretty. You might enjoy it. So you need to tell me exactly what you're going to do, what you're going to count, and how you're going to count it. You can count a lot of things. Like, I could come down here and count seagulls, except there's no such thing as a seagull. We say that in the Northern Neck, but birds are either different kinds of gulls or they're different kinds of terns. So I would have to identify what I'm going to count in order to get a reliable set of data that I can count on. For instance, if I were just going to say I was going to count birds, I might not be able to tell if they've got more or less birds depending on the temperature, because as temperatures get colder, some birds leave and some come back in. So I've really got to identify the kind of bird I'm going to count, or the kind of insect or something like that. So there are specific procedures for writing experimental process. And we'll work with those later, but I'm interested in you getting your thoughts down on paper in a way that they're more or less very rigid. And it's not fancy writing. You know, I really am an English major, and I like to write and make things kind of creative. But for this type of writing, we got to leave the creativity aside and be just factual. Just what we can read off a thermometer or a weight scale, or how many things we can count, when we're going to count them. After supper's not good, give me a time, because you could eat your supper any kind of time of the day, but you could say 30 minutes before sunset, 30 minutes after sunrise. Those things would be okay. So right now, I want you to more or less develop a couple of paragraphs that explain to me what you're going to be measuring, how you're going to collect your data, and, you know, what you're going to be counting. Okay, make sure you've got quantitative data and not qualitative data. Qualitative data describes a quality or a thing. Like, I could say that's nice outside tonight. Well, nice is not, other people might not think it's so nice. They might think it's bugs and they wouldn't agree. I can say that there's zero cloud cover. I could say that there is no precipitation. I could say there is about breeze of about 1 to 2 miles an hour, because I can see some movement in the water but no waves. That would be acceptable. So you go and think about it, get in touch with me, tell me your ideas. I'll give you some my ideas back, and let's go on and figure out a way that we can collect some really cool data that you can have a project you're going to be really proud of. Take care. Y'all guys are wonderful.